Hey everybody, it's Barry from Late Weather Forecast, and tonight we're doing a very quick video update on Major Hurricane Sam and Tropical Storm Victor. And without further ado, let's get started. So, start with Victor. Victor is a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm that has strengthened by the 11 p.m. advisory. It is a 997 millibar, 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. So we can see here it just started to fire up some convection later tonight, more consistent convection, and it's been able to have that persist now for a little bit, and it's probably a little bit stronger than 60 miles per hour now. It could be a borderline hurricane at this point. We'll see what they do with the 5 a.m. advisory, but wouldn't surprise me if we have a hurricane by the 5 a.m. advisory, to be honest. As I mentioned last night, has some good outflow to work with, and is going to continue to intensify probably at least over the next 24 hours or so, as the environment will become less favorable over the next around 36 to 48 hours. The environment will become less favorable, and strengthening should come to a halt right around then, and we will see this storm start to weaken from that point on. But see is some impressive convection that's been blown up tonight on satellite, and a little bit of shear. You can look in the top northwest part of your screen, you can see that's just kind of convection forming right there, not associated with the tropical cyclone. That's a good indication that there is a little bit of shear just to the west of it, but the storm itself by the core is in a lower wind shear environment, and it has good in the lower level stream flow is favorable for Victor to be intensifying tonight, and it is over warmer sea surface temperatures, more than supportive enough to become a hurricane. So that is what the storm has going for it tonight, and National Hurricane Center is expecting Victor to approach hurricane status. It did have a little bit stronger last night, but due to it not strengthening much at all today after they expected it would, they decided to um, lower the standards a little bit down. But I still think that this is a good shot at becoming a hurricane. Probably not a Category 2 hurricane, like it looked like it had at least a chance to be one more last night. Not as much as a chance, though, to 10 at this point, but it still could become a Category 1 hurricane, as it does have a somewhat favorable environment. But let's get here to Sam. It is a major hurricane, 145 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane, and recent satellite trends have suggested that it could be a little bit stronger than that, but we'll have to see what Recon finds. Recon and Sam's peak intensity have not really matched, so Recon is just approaching the southwest side of the core right now. If we look here in the bottom, at the top of this graphic right here, we can see that plane is just about to enter there. So we'll get some good data over the next few hours from Recon and we'll see what they find. But we'll get here to satellite, and we'll slide back here. We'll get to Sam. And Sam has a nice truck tire eye right now, big donut, and it's pretty healthy right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if this is it's 150, 155 mile per hour Category 4, and Recon finds it. They last found a 938 millibar pressure about 6 to 8 hours ago. Maybe a little bit less than that, but it's been maintaining intensity pretty well now for the last 24 hours at this point after completing an I-wall replacement cycle, and it looks very healthy on satellite. So I'm very curious to see what Recon finds tonight, and by the time we get the 2 a.m., because they did issue a tropical storm watch just in case that there is something for Bermuda. Do they still have the watch? They still have the watch up, so we will get a 2 a.m. advisory. But they won't change anything for that at that point. Actually, if Recon is able to penetrate the core before then, maybe, but I doubt we'll have any significant changes for the 2 a.m. advisory. More potentially for the 5 a.m. advisory, though, for sure. I'm sure we'll see some changes in that, at least a little bit more than the 2 a.m. advisory, likely, depending on how quickly Recon can get into the center. But we still a very powerful Category 4, still the risk for large swells across all of the East Coast, large waves for Bermuda too. Not a good idea to be messing with those waves if you live or know anybody by Bermuda. For sure is going to be pretty impactful storm a little bit enough to the east to not have to worry about any of those really strong winds and flooding, rainfall, or storm surge, but still enough to produce some pretty significant large waves. That probably Bermuda will probably see the largest impact from the storm out of anybody. That is something you don't want to mess with exactly when we start talking waves that large. And here's just another view of satellite from weather nerds. Get this to maybe do it. There we go. You can see another good view here. Very symmetrical eye, or just a symmetrical CDO. The eye is fairly pretty much cleared out. Not 100% circular. It was a little bit earlier tonight, but it's maintaining its intensity nice. Moving to the northwest. It looks at this point, or pretty much due north, but I think they have it northwest. And no, here. Boom. Come on. There we go. What is it currently? That's not helpful. There we go. And we didn't even get movement. Oh, come on. Wasting time. Yep, north and northwest. That's what it looked like on satellite. So just needed some confirmation. Moving northwest. I don't think Bermuda will have to worry about any tropical storm force winds, but they are under tropical storm force watch. So maybe some gusty 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, 20, maybe even 35 mile per hour wind gusts can't be completely ruled out for Bermuda. So there will be some impacts for Bermuda, but not any direct major impacts from this storm, which is the good news. And we'll show you one more thing here on satellite, and then we'll wrap it up, as we don't have a lot to worry about with this storm anymore. As it's not going to be making any landfalls, or won't have to worry about any landfalls. You can see here, beautiful. Get to kind of see here how the eye has dried out tonight on satellite, where we have the convection surrounding the storm here. This is basically just showing that this is more of a moisture in terms of the water vapor, but you can see where the convection was popping, and that's where the moisture is most potent, or the convection is most significant. In the eye, in the middle, is very dry, so that means the eye is pretty warm and it's drier compared to that, and that means the eye is more stable, and it's also more conducive for a stronger storm. Unlike an eye that is not as warm and it's more cooler, that means the storm is not in as best shape as a storm like this, where its eye is dry, warm, and cleared out. So kind of cool to watch on satellite tonight, as Sam is a very strong 145 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane, without a doubt one of the strongest storms of the year, and could end up being the strongest storm of the year, depending on what recon finds in this next pass, or depending on the postseason analysis, which should be interesting on this storm. But still a lot of hurricane season left, so we'll have to watch what happens there. But for now, Hurricane Sam, not a threat. Tropical Storm Victor could be a hurricane, but it's still not a threat. Neither of those storms are a threat in terms of making a landfall anywhere, which is very good news. Again, as I mentioned, we'll have to watch the Caribbean for potential development in a couple weeks from now. I think that is something we should watch for, but there's no imminent threats or impact in terms of any storms for the near immediate future, which is good news. Which is now, what is October 1st? So we are finally in October. I hope you all have a good night and stay safe. Peace out.